Well, here we are. You guys unfortunately smashed the like goal in the video where I left the highest mountains in WorldBox alone for 1,000 years, and as promised, I am now going to be doing the exact same thing, literally no difference. Well, one kind of major difference. Instead of 1,000 years, I'm doing it for 10,000 years. But basically, if you're unaware of any of my other videos like this, what will happen over time is that factors like natural disaster and erosion will kick in, which will slowly lower the level of these mountains until a point where maybe soil emerges and life can live, because right now these mountains are the highest in the game. They're the summit height right here. They're not even like when I followed the oceans in the past where the creatures can just swim around. Nothing can literally live on these. This video is going to be absolutely crazy, but yeah, let's get right into it by clicking unpause. Wow, not a lot going on here, huh? Oh, there we go. Yeah, about a year passed, and now the mountains are actually covered in snow, because yes, they are that high that snow naturally spawns on them. But one more thing I should mention here is that, you know, earthquakes and natural disasters are going to be great for actually getting some land, but we are going to need some impressive world laws enabled if anything's ever going to actually happen with that land. So if we look through here, I have just about every single world law turned on, all the ones that you can think of, with the most important one probably being the drop of thoughts. But anyway, yeah, this is actually pretty blinding right now. It's literally glowing on the sides. So I think it's time we begin our first time lapse here. But before we do that, I'm going to set the world age calendar between the age of chaos and the age of wonders. But with that said, we have nothing to do except for wait here. So I'm going to do our first time lapse to a quarter of the way there, which just so happens to be year 2500. Yes, our first time lapse is already 2.5 times longer than most of my other following videos. But anyway, we're going to turn on Sonic speed because God knows we're going to need it. And you'll see me in about 30 seconds, and I'll see you guys in about an hour and a half. So yeah, screw you, man. And here we are at year 2500. That took forever, but look at our world. I can't believe we're only a quarter done. Imagine what this is gonna look like at the end here. We have almost 1,000 trees, but I'm wondering what they are. Oh, cactuses. That actually makes sense, because if you notice, we don't have any water on this map. But more than that, we actually have a lot of life too. Now, granted, that's a lot less than I expected after 2,500 years. And actually, there's been 81 deaths too. We gotta investigate that. How could that happen? Oh, okay, 28 creatures eaten. Wait, hold up. If what I'm thinking is right, the only creature alive at the moment is gonna be crabs, but yeah, let's not question that. 10 burned, 3 from conflict, and 40 by explosion. Oh no. We're going to check in our subspecies. It's all crabs. Actually, there's some blobs here too. Wait, we'll get into that in a second. But let's take a look at the crabs. Wait, hold up. They're rocks. They have the mutation that just makes them turn into rocks. How are they even considered crabs then, though? Oh wait, when they die, they actually turn into crabs. So we have another crab species here, except the twist here is that once again, they're not crabs. They're floating eyeballs. It's kind of scary. I don't really like looking at that. But other than those exceptions, we do actually have some normal crabs here too, the sapient versions. And looking in, we have rats and blobs. How is that possible if... Oh, we do have a biome. Nuclear waste. Of course it's nuclear waste. That's the only thing we could do after 2,500 years. The only thing really interesting about these blobs is they're cannibals. That definitely explains where those creatures eaten came from. And other than that, we also have a sapient rat here too. I know that's probably not that impressive, but considering these videos we only ever get crabs, we have a surprisingly high amount of diversity right now. But I am curious about where these explosions came from then. Maybe we'll figure that out in the future. But I haven't even mentioned yet just how scarred our world has gotten. And we are only 25% of the way done. But I am surprised that no kingdoms have popped up. I really think they have enough of room to do so, but definitely as time passes, more earthquakes will begin connecting all these areas together. But for right now, despite all of that, that's really all that's going on here. You know, I bet we would have a lot lot more interesting stuff to talk about if half of the world didn't explode. 81 deaths is actually pretty crazy, considering we don't even have old age or hunger turned on. But anyway, right before we head to year 5,000, halfway there, we're going to slightly change this calendar. The reason I put it the way it was is because the Age of Chaos usually means more earthquakes will happen, and the Age of Wonders is useful for having new creatures actually able to spawn in. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take one of these Age of Wonders and replace it with the Age of Tears. And as you can probably guess, what this is going to do is spawn in rain clouds, which will hopefully go into these little void tiles here and give us actual sources of usable water, which you know is typically essential to most forms of life. So I'm very much looking forward to see what happens then. But anyway, I guess we should get back to it. So I'll see you guys at year 5,000. This is going to take a while. And here we are at year 5,000, and this time lapse was a lot more like it. A ton of stuff happened. Most obviously, 4 kingdoms have popped up, and in the most shocking revelation to me, only 2 of them are crab kingdoms. Like I mentioned earlier, and as most of you know, crabs always dominate these videos, but we have a rat kingdom and a blob kingdom too, so let's check these guys out. Oh yeah, not even to mention the water that has appeared now in these admittedly really ugly world. The mix between cactuses and pollution biome is not good at all. And now that I'm looking at the crab kingdoms, they don't really look like kingdoms at all. Being completely honest, I'm not even sure how these formed, because I mean, look at this. There's no room for anything. However, at least this blob kingdom is real and has actual houses for once. But the first crab kingdom is the Bakar kingdom with the motto, "We follow redemption." The blob kingdom is named Dree, and their motto is simply "Hold my axe." Over here is the rat kingdom, which somehow their kingdom is now composed only in the mountains itself, and their motto is "Vigilance, Valor, and Unity." And lastly is the 3-tile Boaker crab kingdom with a motto of "In nothing we trust." That's pretty accurate to my channel as a whole. Like, if there was an official Jackal YouTube channel $1 bill, that would definitely be on it. But in total, they have 68 people, and consequently 68 homeless people too. They have nothing at all. But now, taking a look back and looking at the world as a whole, there are now over 11,000 trees. And honestly, from what I can tell, almost every single area is now connected. And holy crap, I just found, honestly, one of the coolest things I've seen in any of these videos. It may not look like a bunch, but there's this little valley over here that has been sectioned off, presumably by an earthquake that went up, and there are blobs inside of it, meaning that this land area was, you know, open at some point, and a bunch of blobs got in there, and now they are sealed off forever. But anyway, that was a very impactful 2,500 years, but we're only halfway done. So let's get going with our next time lapse, and I will see you guys 3/4 of the way there at year 7,500. And here we are at year 7,500, and really not a lot has changed, unless you're looking at the giant hole that is opened up right here. I genuinely have no clue what happened, and it may have been too fast to really see in the time lapse, but basically what kept happening is explosions were going on around the map and just slowly destroying all the land tiles. So now we have a giant ocean, and honestly, we have more ocean than we have mountains now. So essentially, the rest of this video is going to be following nothing but an ocean again. I just can't escape it. But obviously, if we zoom in here, we can still see little fragments of mountains still alive, but for the most part, it's all been reduced to just absolutely nothing. And we can even see earthquakes that happened after the ocean opened up, so now we're forming our own islands here in the middle. And if this trend keeps up for the next 2,500 years, whatever's left of the mountains is going to be gone. And is that grass? That is normal grass. Holy crap. Well, we've already determined that maybe the religion can affect this, so let's see. So we have the religion of Biak here, which has existed for 3.4 thousand years, and yep, the create grass religion trait, which means there's potential that we have even more creatures here here. But speaking of creatures, we only have 500 sapient creatures, a couple hundred mobs, and 37,000 deaths. So obviously, being the curious guy that I am, I want to see how 37,000 people died. Okay, so 8,700 of them have been eaten, which was probably from the slimes, which, by the way, are gone. But the main death cause, 18,000 from explosion, meaning we have to get to the bottom of this, because genuinely what caused these explosions. So looking at the subspecies later, here are all the species left, and I guess I'm gonna have to look through each and every single one of them to get to the bottom of how this happened. So we have the first crab subspecies here, and they don't have anything that could cause destruction like we've seen, but they have the peaceful and bloodlust traits at the same time, which I feel is, well, that's just never mind, let's keep going. So how about these guys? Oh, explosive crabs are back for like the 8,000th time. They're going to be the downfall of me. And if you're confused on what I'm talking about, basically in all the videos I've made similar to this, explosive crab subspecies have spawned in. And even though this one is relatively new, I'm assuming they're just a branch of a previous one. And these guys alone, these little things, they're not even crabs. They have a trait that doesn't even make them look like crabs, have done all of this. And now our world is on the brink of collapse, and I can't do anything about it. The last thing I will do here, though, is look at the different animals and creatures in the world to see if there's anything we haven't already seen. Oh, somehow there is one fox in the world, and I don't even know how they spawn in, but that's pretty cool. A couple of rats, crabs. All of the acid blobs have been killed somehow, probably because they were rabid cannibals and ate each other. I mean, that's just what I think. And 500 sapient crabs. That is all that remains in the world. But we have 2,500 years left for redemption. From what I can tell, this is the only crab species left with Death Bomb, and there's only 50 left of them. So maybe they will finally die out, and this world can prosper once again. But anyway, I will see you guys in another 2,500 years, and honestly, I'm really excited to see what happens. And finally, here we are, year 10,000. I'm realizing now why I don't do these videos very often. Here's what our world looks like. It honestly looks pretty much the same, but it's kind of hard to top the act that happened last time. However, the main difference is we see an awesome island has developed right here in the middle of our brand new ocean. It's honestly hard to believe that in a world that started like this, somehow ended up like this. I mean, I genuinely believe this is one of the most unexpected things to ever happen in one of these videos. And if we zoom into this island, we see that it's actually quite tropical. Instead of cactuses, we have normal palm trees with the kingdom of Kobo, with the motto, guided by power. And I find it really symbolic that out of all of the potential spots the crabs could still live, they chose to live on an island. Oh, and even the gentleman blobs return. Man, this is a great finale. Everyone's back, everyone's happy, and nothing has ever gone wrong in this world at all. And that is what happens when you leave the highest mountains in WorldBox alone for 10,000 years. If you're still watching at this point, please like and subscribe, at least for my pain and suffering that I had to endure making this video. And if you don't care about that, clearly you're still here, so you're mildly entertained, so leave a like for that too. And that's about all for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.